Now I'll throw us on social media. All right. So last time on A Crown of Cold Iron, some 6 weeks ago,
we nearly died.
Yes. So you all had been recuperating after emerging from the Raven Palace, another very traumatic experience where you found yourselves exploring some kind of time-lost ruin, racing against a human supremacist group called the King's Guard. You escaped fairly well, coming out with a collection of magical items, both of the cursed and uncursed variety. You also, I think, found some tantalizing hints and signposts towards perhaps more personal involvement in some of the story of the Raven Palace. But now you all are figuring out your next steps. So, Auric, one of the things you found when you emerged from the Raven Palace was that you had a phone call from the Embassy of the Parliament of the Fae, a group you had kind of been trying to dodge up to this point. But it looks like they have decided that they need to speak with you all. So you all were making your way down to Embassy Row, down to the Fae Embassy, and you were most of the way there when you were attacked by what can only be described as two giant invisible cats. You all held your ground pretty well, scoring some vicious blows against these large Fae felines. Towards the end, it was getting away from you a little bit. You were initially fighting one before a second got into the fray. Cyrus got very hurt twice, I think. Auric got very, very hurt. Lexi doesn't really get hurt.
Or Lexi was hurt for for Lexi. Like
yes.
Let me see. How hurt is Lexi right now?
You probably still have more hit points injured than Auric's normal total.
Okay, I'm down about 20 hit points, but I have 75 of them. So
yep, sounds about right.
Yeah.
So
56 to 75, yeah.
The creatures had already started to move to flee when the guards of the Fae Embassy finally noticed the commotion and came running down the street, led by their chief of security, a massive Leonin Fae called Leon. He is a direct servant to Lady Bryn, who is the deputy ambassador to the Fae, of the Fae, and the one who summoned you. So you all are now being sort of shepherded into the Fae Embassy. You've realized that it is a Fae demand. It is quite literally, everyone says an embassy is like part of the, sort of the sovereign home territory of that country. In this case, it's a little more literal. You are in a slice of fairy space interposed onto Embassy Row, and you all are being led inside. Is there anything in particular you all want to be doing?
Well, I think at this point, Lexi's rage has probably ended. So
yeah, as soon as you
I didn't take that off yet, so I figured I would say that.
Well, and as soon as you had 6 seconds where you didn't hit or get hit, it would have popped off.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not really a long span of time. So you all are being
had a minute, but
you have a minute as long as you deal damage or take damage every turn.
Oh, okay.
every 6 seconds.
Now I get it.
The length of a vine.
Yep. It doesn't usually
Full
happen.
line.
Actually, I don't even think you have to deal damage. I think you just have to make a weapon attack.
Right. I was gonna say if I was doing some pretty bad
Yeah.
throws, that would really suck.
Attack or be
or
attacked.
take damage, because I've definitely seen
Yeah.
the game of barbarians like bartering with the DM if they can like
Punch
slam their
themselves.
head against the wall as a free action and like take a point of bludgeoning damage to keep their rage going.
Rogue, stab me. Stab me. So yeah. Also, to be honest, so as all those guards approached, they probably immediately went to help Auric and Cyrus. Lexi, they were probably a little slow to get close to your burningness going on. Also, just for fun, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Two.
It's okay. It's just ominous foreshadowing. So when you were fighting these creatures, there was a moment where your hero light flared up in a way that it's happened once or twice, but this was particularly strange. It went pure white, except there were orange tinges at the edge.
Right.
And despite your best effort, you couldn't get it to go back to the normal color before it wore off on its own.
Okay.
So just something to have bounced in your head. So you are welcomed inside by a sprite, a fairly large sprite. They can range from like tiny, up to probably 2 feet is large for a sprite. This is, you could only describe it as a thin, sort of grandmotherly looking woman, but in miniature. And she's wearing sort of very like perfect, think like very professional secretarial outfit. And she's even got like a little clipboard with a little pen, and it's all perfectly sized for her. And she says, yes. So Leon, these are our guests, correct? Yes. Okay. I am Moontree. I am the administrator for the office of the Fey Parliament to the human realm. And I believe you all are our next appointment. It seems you had some difficulty getting here. Is that correct?
Just a wee bit.
They noticed my signal flare.
She turns and looks over at Leon, and she says, Leon, you did let them know they could park in the special garage, right? Leon goes,
There's a garage.
yes, there's a small garage complex that runs behind the rows of the embassy. We'll validate your parking. Don't worry. Okay, so moving on.
Got to say, do I have to go move Pokey? Because the original owner of who Pokey the car is based off of would go move the car.
She kind of like snaps fingers, and it actually looks like a young, it's not always immediately apparent like when someone is a human looking fae versus someone who is just human, but a young woman comes up who looks like she's maybe in her early 20s, and in a room full of so much fae magic and so many fae people, like you can tell this is just a normal human. And she says, yes, Allison, could you please go and pick up Miss Miss Farino's vehicle and bring it around to the garage. Thank you. And the girl says, yeah, sure. I got it. Don't worry. I'll get it right back.
It's an antique.
And Moontree says, yes, there's something about these automobiles that has proven somewhat disconcerting to many of our folks in their attempts to learn to drive. And so in the interlude, we had the idea to go ahead and hire a few, they're not called servants. That's not what you call them here. Interns. Allison is wonderful. She's receiving a very nice scholarship to Ravenbrook in political science. And yes, anyway, back to what we're dealing with. The Lady Bryn will be ready for you in just a moment. Might I offer you all some refreshments?
I'll just have some water.
Tea.
I'll just have whatever you have available.
That's a
Yes.
dangerous option.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I forget about that. Refreshments freely offered with no implication of obligation or contract or in any form of recompense from the third party. Yes, sorry. I forget that there's some, yes. Also, I think we can do something about, and she kind of gestures to, I mean, like, you know, some of you have like giant like claw marks and just are bleeding some, and says, yes, maybe we can, what's the saying? It sounds so barbaric. Two birds with one stone. And she makes a little like whistle sound, and you see colored lights just go like whizzing through the room, and they spiral off back through a door, and a tray flies out, seemingly buoyed along by these lights. You see water, a very nice looking cup of tea that smells wonderful. So it's water, tea. What was the other?
Or it just said whatever is available.
Oh, okay. There's also,
I was gonna say, what's your favorite Fey drink that you can't get?
well, and actually, so Oric, you smell this as it comes out. There are 3 small glasses of a thick sort of purple red. It almost seems too thick for a juice, but you know that's what it is. And it is a Fey variety of a good berry blended into a very delicious beverage. You would also just know off the cuff, this is something that like, this would have been like a special occasion treat for a Fey child of sort of middling kind of status. But you know that this actually has very strong healing properties. And the little bobbing lights bring one each of the little things of this juice to each of you and your respective drink.
I haven't had one of these in ages. Thank you.
Oh, you are most welcome. I know how important little touches of home are, and also it would be great if you all weren't bleeding into the carpet anymore.
This was my second favorite sweater vest.
Don't worry. I know a spray that can get blood out.
Actually, I guess this was my favorite sweater vest. Process of elimination.
Was it your only sweater vest?
No, but the favorite one is no longer with us.
Oh, that's right. Forgot that would have been damaged already.
Yeah. I need to start getting like armored sweater vests.
Buy stock in a company that makes them, you know.
I adjusted a Twitch. Our video keeps going out.
Oh no.
We're just going to capture the whole display and live with it.
It's fine.
All right.
Works for me.
So she says, "Oh, we can help with that as well." And she makes another little gesture. And I'm going to go ahead and have all of you make an Arcana check, and Auric make it with advantage.
9
11 with advantage,
with advantage.
dude.
Ooh,
Oh, right. I can right click to do advantage. I'll have to remember that.
Also,
what was it?
9.
Ooh.
So I had the strongest one
Yeah.
with 11.
I'm distracted.
Yeah, that's all I can think.
I was gonna say I'm the one that's the healthiest.
Maybe that's it. Like the other two, you're kind of distracted.
Trying to heal.
Oh,
Okay.
and I will say, as you all do, all of you all drink this juice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and hit a long rest.
Hit a long rest.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
So Lexi, you don't quite have like the terminology to put to it, but something about that gesture she keeps making, it reminds you of Alan Blake for some reason. And it's a weird association. And you're not sure why it sort of hits you, but that's the closest thing you can think of.
And what kind of gesture is she making?
It's not even like really specific. It's like she just sort of like makes some little gesture with her hand. And remember, she's scaled down.
Right.
But whatever gesture she makes, it seems like these other Fae respond to it with a speed and clarity that would be unusual for a human command structure.
So she's kind of summoning them.
There's definitely something about it that is unusual.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So the guards have kind of melted back into the scenery and disappeared. Leon is still kind of awkwardly standing there. This is a really, really nice space. Auric, this would stand out to you. This is not necessarily decorated purely in a traditionally Fey way. Some of the materials seem different. Some of the stylistic touches are different. It's a strange blending of like very modern sort of human finery. I mean, like a very, very nice office, but blended with just a touch of like a Fey palace. And it's kind of a weird effect. Like it's very, very impressive. But for you who kind of knows what this should look like, it's a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
And Leon just kind of, I'll just go see if the lady is ready for you all. And he kind of squeezes his way, like it's a full like double door, but he has to kind of like hunch and go sideways. And you hear something like clatter, and he goes, "Gah!" And you see him sort of trying to tiptoe through this hallway. Is there anything you all want to do before Leon comes back?
Are there any like pieces of art or things to look at?
Yes, indeed. You see a couple of scenes. there is a very beautiful painting that to compare to sort of modern artistic terms, this would look probably 200 years old, sort of the style. And Auric, you would just know immediately, even though it's sort of dressed up. This is a painting of the formation of the Parliament of the Fae. The event itself was much further back than that, but this is a depiction of it in a sort of almost exaggeratedly royal human style. All of the Fae nobles are sort of arrayed like human nobles of the time period. You also see Cyrus, make an insight check with advantage. Man, y'all are just not rolling well.
Sad.
Man, here are your rolls for this game. This is including bonuses. 2, 9, 11, 6, 9, 10, 2.
Yeah.
Whew.
Damn, these guys, they're stone cold. Need to warm them up.
Cyrus, you see a painting that immediately makes you feel uncomfortable. And it's hard to place why. It's like a very stylized, sort of a very stylized representation of what looks like powerful Fae knights, Fae warriors, almost you see Fae who are almost portrayed as like deities. There's just a lot of like unnecessary like extra color and light coming off of them. And you see what looks like summer Fae and the wild Fae and winter Fae all sort of arrayed together, driving off some dark force in the background. And there's a couple more pieces. What's also sort of glaring is there are some like publicity kind of not publicity isn't the right word. Photos from like events and things that are very well done, but they're basically different versions of like Ambassador Llewellyn, sometimes Lady Bryn, but always him, like schmoozing with like politicians and celebrities, and a lot of the pictures are signed like to my dearest Llewellyn or variations of that. And there's a small section of those sort of framed on the wall, and there is a kitschiness to them that is a little at odds with everything else here. Is there anything else y'all want to look for?
I think more than looking, Cyrus is going to turn to Auric, like, so do we call the stalker by his real name in here, or still no?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I feel like Lady Bryn could take him, but even so, I wouldn't.
Because if we say it, he'll be summoned, or he'll hear it and know that we're talking about him.
That's how it feels sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
So two things that would Oric would just know this. Absolutely, saying his name anywhere is problematic. Also, this is specifically a sort of factionally mixed location. There are Fae from all three of the sort of different chambers,
Right.
which could potentially include Unseelie Fae who are under the Stalker's branch of the hierarchy.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So they might not even necessarily want to rat you out, but might actually have no choice.
Okay.
And this is something we had talked about in a previous session. Lady Bryn at her full strength could give the Stalker a run for his money.
Mhm.
But you also know that Lady Bryn is not at her full strength.
Right. Right.
She's only like 50 or 60 years into the sort of most recent incarnation, and will still need probably centuries to get back at just sort of a normal pace. Things could potentially speed that up or slow that down, but what you do remember is Lady Bryn is a pipeline to forces that absolutely could deal with the Stalker. Some other stuff to remember. Oric, you do have Lambton's letter hanging over your head. Cyrus, you have you were the one who wanted to bring it. It might be in the bag of holding. The moon-touched rapier, which you all acquired under the Raven Palace. And all of you all were specifically interested in the sort of movements of the Stalker, especially the henchmen, and especially how it relates to Luz.
Right.
Was there anything else that you all were sort of actively progressing, or things you think you might be able to accomplish here?
I'm trying to remember. Did I take Lambton's letter to Luz, or did I not have it destroyed magically?
I think what we said was there were 5 copies because you were in the Raven Palace for a week. I think we said you brought them to Luz, and like you had 4 in one hand and 1 in the other. 4 of them shredded as you walked in the door, and you like rescued the last one.
Right. Yeah, I figure showing the letter to Lady Bryn might expedite things.
And good. I did get the text of the letter. For some reason, I didn't write the first one. All right. So you all have a moment to kind of just examine the scenery. You notice there's also a very human touch. There's a little like waiting room area with like very nice chairs and a nice little coffee table, but the effect is somewhat ruined by these like glossy sort of, they're a little classier than tabloid. Think like People magazine kind of level.
You mean Faye magazine?
Well, specifically, these are human publications, but you do notice that a lot of them either have Llewellyn like somewhere on the cover, or you see like an article heading that seems like he's probably in it somewhere. There's a lot of his personality stamped on this space. So you all have a moment to enjoy your beverages, your obligation-free beverages. You heal up. After a little bit, there is just sort of a very faint chiming sound, and Moontree looks up and goes, "Oh, it sounds like she is ready for you." And she waves a hand, and the doors that Leon went through come open. You see a short hallway, and then another set of doors that are also open, and then a closed set of doors beyond those.
Can I see what Leon knocked off the wall?
It looks like as he like stepped into the hallway, there was something. It was like an official letter of like friendship with the nation of Tress or something. And you can see there's a little like crack in it now, and there's like a piece of tape over the crack, and it seems to be askew on the wall. It looks like there's some other doors and offices off of this hallway. This is sort of where the staff are, basically. And yeah.
The second time this session that I wished that I had learned the mending spell.
Even as you go by, one of those little brightly colored motes goes by, and kind of, you almost hear like a, and the tape kind of comes off, and the mote sort of swirls up along the crack, and it is fixed again. And the whole sort of sphere kind of, and then zoop, goes on. And you do see a couple of these as you go by. You see one kind of swirl down. It goes sort of like under the door of an office, and then the door cracks and comes open, and like the garbage bag comes flying out, pulled by several of these little dots of light. You see some like one will go under a door and then come back out, sort of dragging a piece of paper, and then it will fold up into some kind of little flying shape, like a bird or something of origami, and it'll fly itself across the hallway, and then sort of nosedive and under that door.
Okay. I quickly turn to Moontree and say, "Thank you. It's that door, right?"
Yes, into the hall, just through Leon's office.
Thank you very much. Shall we?
All right, let's go.
All right, and you see Leon has crammed himself into a desk, and he looks
Poor
very
lad.
much like a lion at a bad zoo, where like the enclosure is not big enough.
Yeah.
There's all of these like bookshelves along the wall that clearly belong to like a previous owner, and he's like, the lady's through the door, and even as he does this, he like knocks something off his desk, and sorry, yeah, through those doors. And the doors aren't locked. Do you just want to go through?
I give Leon a pat.
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't know Fey culture, but I know in human culture, it would probably be polite to knock just to announce our presence before opening the door. Since she's expecting us,
Knock and then walk in.
knock and then walk in, but
All right. Yeah. You knock, door swings open easily. This is, you're not really sure about the geography, the layout of the building, but this room has two beautiful open, like large windows. And you notice one looks out over what might be like a garden. But like the lighting doesn't look right. Looking at it, you would say, oh, that's outside. but you were just outside. Like the color and the quality of the light is wrong. The other window seems to be looking out over the city. Again, this isn't a super tall building. You're on like you entered on the first floor. It only goes up 3 or 4 floors, but somehow this window is looking out over like central. It's an entirely different part of town, and the perspective is like way up in the air. Behind the desk, this very sort of nicely appointed office, behind the desk is what looks like a young elven woman with very blonde hair. You can't really tell how long it is because it's tied back in this very sort of functional bun. That's right, you saw her outside. And so the Lady Bryn stands up and says, oh yes, come in. And there are a couple of chairs. There's a sort of a couch. And she actually gets up from behind her desk and kind of leads you over there, but brings a couple of like big, heavy folders with her and puts them on a table. Please take a seat.
I'm going to sit as far from the folders as I can.
Cyrus will just glance down and go, are those for us or on us?
She laughs. A bit of both. I have to say, you all have made the last few months very entertaining.
You're welcome.
Glad to be of service.
Entertaining is not usually the goal for this sort of position. We had a lot to figure out with you all. And I hope you'll forgive. Moontree thought we should send you basically a letter inviting you to tea. Leon thought we should kidnap you, so we thought we would meet in the middle and just call.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
So I hope you'll forgive me as I try and lay out sort of how your actions perhaps have been perceived over the last few months, apart from any form of explanation. I think something like 3 or 4 months ago, a massive fairy incursion happens in the middle of one of the most prestigious academic areas in town, and affects a great number of students and faculty and even police officers. And when it's over, the only people who seem to be at all, what's the phrase, with it, are the 3 of you and your companion, Dr. Skylark. Then we start to get reports that this strange group of individuals has suddenly become closely acquainted with the Blackthorn family, that they have been attending public events at the Blackthorn Academy, that they have been seen not just in professional settings, but also in fairly conspicuous personal interactions with a powerful and famed sort of scion of the family. There's so many things, I'm going to forget some. We find the aftermath of
Spoiler
some
alert,
kind
they're
of.
dating.
Oh, we've heard. And I have questions, both professionally and personally, but we'll come to those in a moment. we find the traces of a nascent extra-dimensional portal linking human realm and fairy in some kind of storage unit, along with the corpses of a large number of lesser Seelie Fae, as well as some sort of security officer who seemed to have been rendered unconscious more than once.
You had it coming.
I don't think I did that one.
I don't remember who
I
was
think that was Cyrus who did that.
I was like, I don't remember who was responsible for that.
I
You
don't
had a
remember
real
any
bad
fake
run.
corpses.
What?
I don't remember any fake corpses there.
You all had to kill.
We had to kill a few Fae.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was probably a half dozen sprites under Alan's control.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was our introduction to you as a force in the city. Then the incidents within the Solinist factions, which at first seemed to have nothing to do with you, until we found copies of police reports, not only showing that you were at the scene, but you were actually paid security contractors. But when we wanted to inquire further, we were told very firmly to stop by none other than eminent Ertralux himself. There is now a new functioning Fey humanoid pact operating out of the Fickle Spirits Brewery, the first of its kind in hundreds of years. And now I, the DM, I'm trying to remember all the crazy things you all have done.
I've got my notebook.
In fairness, the pact was active. We just helped to make it not so bad.
We just improved on it.
And yes, so obviously this has raised a certain level of concern, both of you and for you, I think you might say. I'm looking to see if I forgot anything else. Wicked Light, Iron Rod. Okay. So, Miss Farino, you are here in a purely voluntary basis. We don't intend to. We wouldn't want you to feel obligated. We did take care of the parking tickets for your vehicle, but honestly, just consider that a gesture of goodwill from us. Mr. Dunhollow, and I suppose Mr. Darlanton, you two concern me a great deal.
Sorry.
I'm just the chauffeur in all this. I love it.
Oh, I absolutely have questions about the tavern proprietor from a human city who bursts into amber white fire. But
So
I
do
believe I believe the phrase you all use is out of my jurisdiction. Or what was the colorful phrase? Not my circus.
Not my monkeys.
That's the one. You are not my monkey. You two,
You can
I
also say
am
my
not
monkey.
sure about.
Wait, him?
You and him.
I know, but him?
My job is to make sure that relations between the Fae and the humanoid realm are peaceful and stable and thriving, and lead to a safer and better world for both realms. Which leads me to reiterate, you too concern me. Mr. Darlanton. And she goes and flips open a folder, and you can see that it is your paperwork, basically. It's your
And it's
file.
like this thick.
Well, and the very first thing is sort of your official sort of immigration requests and forms and things. And you all, I don't know if would Oric have ever had it? Oh, so you've never seen these. There is a lot of stuff left blank on here. Like she flips through, it's like 15 pages long, front and back. And the signatures are there, and like the loosest of biographical information. But so much other stuff is missing. How did you get here, Mr. Darlanton?
Well, do you want the long version or the succinct version?
Well, the short version, as I have it on paper, is that you walked through the main portal, through all of the customs and official inspections, but somehow they wrote almost nothing down.
That doesn't sound right.
I have signatures and I have dates, and they are from the correct individuals on the correct days. I have both magical and mundane recordings of you speaking to these individuals and them signing your paperwork, but they don't recall you.
Huh. That doesn't sound right.
So you might imagine my concern, especially because while you're not outside of, well, while you weren't outside of the bounds of the pact treaties limitations on supernatural abilities, I'm very confused how a servant of Lord Lambton arrived here with no apparent sponsorship or patronage, or I just have to circle back to, I don't know how you got here.
Well, that kind of makes two of us. I was in Unseelie, minding my own business, doing totally nondescript and inconsequential things, I promise. And like it was like the ground just opened up underneath me, and next thing I knew, I was here.
You got summoned here.
Maybe.
She's giving you just like the highest skeptical eyebrow.
I mean, you don't have to believe me. It's true whether you believe it or not.
I was content to live in the mystery until the mystery was suddenly tangled up in quite a few other mysteries. And then she turns and opens a different folder. And this one is Cyrus's folder. And this one doesn't actually start with like an official document. There's like some pictures, some that are like actual like departmental pictures you'd have had to take as a contractor, but there's also like some surveillance type pictures, and then some copies of both sort of public records. There's a few things, like nothing specifically suggests that they have compromised NBI database protocol. But there's enough that reading between the lines, they have probably breached NBI databases. And she says, and you, Mr. Dunhallow, what are you?
Private contractor. Very reasonable rates if you're hiring.
That is what the paperwork shows. And I have here birth records and dental records, and I have a whole pile of forms and permits that you've acquired through the NBI. You even seem to have a mundane human educational record. Somehow this concerns me more than him.
I may be many things. Not a fae.
Make a deception check with advantage.
Okay.
Because you're telling the truth, but you're telling the truth in a way to obfuscate the truth. I forget that I have to actually go look.
25.
All right. She does not like fully let this go. She like I won't pry too deeply into this. I have questions. I have concerns. But for the most part, it seems that you all are doing your best to make the city safer for everyone. But I also want you to understand that I am not the only person or entity keeping an eye on these circumstances.
Oh, we're aware.
Have you encountered anyone else?
Well, a lot of cats,
Cats?
including some very large ones that attacked us on our way here.
Large cats.
Mm-hmm. And I would not think that their lord was able to come over here, but he certainly seems to be trying.
He wants my building. Clean cat litter right now.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
Woo, advantage. Well, advantage is good because I got a 19.
All right. So with a 19, she goes and she pulls a different folder off of her desk and brings it over. And this one she doesn't lay on the table. She just starts kind of like flipping through.
Maybe treats.
There shouldn't. She pulls out from one of the other folders a stack of paper. It's not too thick. It's only maybe 20 pages. And she says, "This is the list of all of the Fae who are in the city of Queensboro." And then she pulls out a list that's about 3 times that long. And she says, "This is the list of the Fae who are actually in Queensboro."
Seems about right.
She pulls out another stack. This one's not quite as big as either of the others. And she says, "And these are the Fae that I suspect are in Queensboro." And she flips through. Maybe you should start from the beginning.
I mean, I'm not sure that there's much to tell. Apart from Kat's being very interested in Lexi's bar.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that. I had to go clean up the cat stuff.
The real life cat.
The real life cat. not the D&D story cats. But Lexi was gonna ask about the lawyers of Cawthorn, Allen, Tate, and Smith. Did I get that right? Did I remember that right? I have it written down.
Tar and Smith. But otherwise, yes.
Tar and Smith. Tate, Tar, close enough. So, and Lexi probably would have brought that paperwork with her. Just,
And we can just say that unless there's something, are there any parts of the story you'd want to leave out telling her?
I don't think there's any part of the story that I know that would be privileged information.
Yeah, I don't, as far as the history of Luz, I don't think I would leave anything out. Maybe the stuff that we got off of Alan Blake. But then again, that might also be like why they're interested in it. So
this is a good question. Are you going to leave out what you do and don't tell her about Blake? Will definitely matter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If we can, I think I will try to tell her about the book without mentioning Blake specifically.
Yeah. Because
So,
part of the reason we have those items in the first place is because we didn't know where else to take them.
Right.
So they've been stored for safekeeping, but Lexi would certainly not be against them going into the hands of somebody who knows better what to do with them and won't abuse them.
Although Cyrus is concerned that Blake's disappeared. So if we're sharing about the book, Cyrus is going to be more interested to mention somebody made him disappear.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't see that there's really anything we need to like not tell her unless it's just like
I mean, obviously stuff about
when I was gonna say when Pokey ran out of gas and I had to go to the gas station. Like she doesn't need to know about that. Like,
well, I was thinking, stuff like Cyrus turning into a bird is probably not something she needs to know.
no, that's probably true.
yeah, you all are definitely sitting on a pile of secrets, and
Yeah.
you've got to decide what cards you're going to show her. You also
As
don't
it
know.
relates to the cats, I think Cyrus is definitely not talking about meeting with Mort and having the
Right.
whatever the cat interaction. that the two of them had. He'd be focused on the lawyers and the cats that keep showing up outside apartments.
Mhm.
Well, I would definitely be interested in seeing this book and any other items that you recovered. This is disconcerting.
Yeah.
I'm going to level with you. And Mr. Darlanton, this is nothing that you don't already know yourself. For many Fae, observing the letter of the law, well, for all Fae, observing the letter of the law is essential. However, for many Fae, for various reasons, there is no concept of something like the spirit of the law or the intent of the law. The law is exactly what is written down. It is exactly what is co-signed and notarized and sealed with a pact. I'm going to trust you all in a way that I probably should not.
Totally fair.
It goes without saying that at least some of the Fey powers are not observing the terms of the pact according to what would be considered normal human standards. They are observing the terms precisely in the way that they were offered and in the way that they were ratified, and nothing more. What that means is there are probably far more Fae in Queensboro than the general public is aware of. There are probably still many Fae, many more Fae in the city than the human authorities are aware of, including some that are far more powerful than are supposed to be here. Of all the Fae to be involved, what have you all been calling them? The Stalker?
Yes.
I've just been saying Cat Lord.
The big cats.
The Big Cat. I like that.
The big cat, old Deuteronomy.
Fluffy.
Fluffy,
Of
Jellicle,
all,
whatever you want to go to town on.
of all of the more powerful Fae to be involved, the Big Cat is one of the most obvious, but also one of the worst to have involved in these sorts of affairs.
I'm gathering that.
Whatever this stalker wants with your establishment, they almost certainly shouldn't be allowed to have it.
Correct.
I don't have unlimited resources. And many of my resources and their uses are scrutinized by other parties. But I believe I might be able to find you more information. It troubles me that such an attack would take place just a few blocks from the embassy.
In broad daylight.
Someone knew you were coming here, wanted to interfere,
Got them all.
and didn't particularly care who knew about it. And this is not the this isn't the all three of you make an insight check.
Nat 20.
18.
So 23 total.
Oh no, Cyrus.
Lexi gets all the insight.
So Oric and Lexi, you both catch this. Cyrus, I think you're probably reading paperwork upside down, like stuff that she didn't read out loud or like explain. You're sort of like just reflexively like memorizing parts of it. And so you miss, she repeats, it's like she starts to say something and trails off. And she does it once and then again. And on the third time it happens, Lexi and Oric, you both see there is a flash of like green gold across her eyes. And Lexi, with that nat 20, you have seen this before.
Oh.
This color, the color of this effect, you saw it in one of your visions.
Did I see it in the cat's eyes?
You saw it in the same vision as the cat, but it wasn't the cat's eyes.
Okay.
Was it the giant handprint on the cat's face?
Okay.
And so as you make that connection, Oric, I should have had you roll this with advantage because you spot this. You haven't seen a whole lot of this because you've been hanging out with humanoids, with humans specifically.
Humanoids.
You are a humanoid. She's a humanoid. You've been hanging out with humans specifically. This is powerful Fey compulsion. This sort of hierarchical interconnection of Fey that sort of is the backbone of the courts and the patronage and all of it. Someone several degrees more powerful than her has messed with a memory, and she's trying to recall it and doesn't seem able to.
Great. Well, hi. Do you know what she can't recall? No. Useless.
Well, obviously spy.
There's your mole.
I know it's true. Bye.
And she's almost, it's not quite like a machine caught on a loop,
Okay.
but it's like she just keeps trying to go back to it. It's not the it's not the it's not the
First,
The Fae? Oh man.
it's not the first time.
it's not the first time that whatever it is, she doesn't seem able to get to that memory.
Is this not the first time that the cats have tried to take Luz? The spy caught me. Perfect timing, Maisie.
She was
So
summoned.
dramatic timing.
It's not the first time that it's a weird noise outside. And Cyrus, you would be noticing this too, because you saw some examples of this in how Blake was able to command some of the Fae around him. Auric, you have a weird vibe in this moment. And actually, you recognize something. She is substantially enough more powerful than you that there should be a tangible pressure on you being around her. She, even though she is not in your court, she is so many notches up that there should be almost like a lean on you. Even when she doesn't mean to, she should subconsciously sort of push and pull you slightly. You don't feel that. You can almost see something. Like, it's not like a physical, in your vision with the cat, it was like a physical mark on the creature's head. Auric, what you're perceiving, it's almost like your mind is translating a magical concept. There's like a knot of green and gold energy, sort of at like the forefront of her mind. And you almost feel like you could reach out and touch that.
Since she's already kind of having a tick, I'm just gonna go ahead and
Poke it.
see if I can quickly untangle it.
All right. Make an Arcana check.
14.
All right. With a 14, I'm going to steal a Powered by the Apocalypse move here. This is success with complication.
Okay.
As you reach out, the green gold, you can almost feel it like it's almost like a fire that is slightly burning your fingertips. And as you reach out, some of that sort of misty purple black of this energy you've felt from your patron before sort of gathers around your fingertips, and you're able to reach out and touch it. And when you do, all of you see this. A memory comes leaking out of this knot and fills the space around you. And you all see this from Bryn's perspective. You are at a park. There is a large frozen lake ahead of you. It's it's hard to say exactly. It's definitely nighttime. There are lights on in the park. There is a fading glow over it's like there was a glow that was coming from the water that is leaching out of it. There are strange figures to either side of you. You see Leon. You see a gray and black young tabaxi. You see a short, squat, dark gnome. And looming up behind the gnome is the shadow of a large black canine. But your eyes are fixed on the two figures in front of you. And you realize you can feel sort of her sense memory. She can't move. There is exactly that sort of fey pressure. The same thing that you would have expected to feel where you're sitting in the world right now. That same kind of pressure is sort of holding her in place, and it seems to be holding back the other three as well. And you see the Kate C. And it's not in a vision, it's not an impression. It is
There.
Yes, it is the physically incarnated Kate C, sort of almost sort of prancing back and forth. There's an air of mockery. The smile is huge and full of teeth as it is laughing at these people. And you can't make out the words, but there's a general sense of villainous monologue to the moment. And then there is a flash and a crack of thunder. And there is a like whipcord thin, but like thin, wiry, muscled. It looks like an older human male. With sort of shaggy gray, mostly gray, but with touches of black hair, dressed very simply. And he wasn't standing there. And then there was that crack. And you catch just sort of out of the corner of your eye, like he was behind her. And then in an instant, he's standing in front of the Kate C. And again, you can't tell what the Kate C is saying, but you see the expression go from like malicious glee to absolute terror. The Kate C's eyes are just huge with fear. And this human man reaches out and lays his hand exactly on the place where you saw the scar in your vision. And there is a green and gold flash that gets brighter and brighter, and then thunder again, and then both of them are gone. And you realize that crack of thunder was not just in this memory, but a concussive shockwave has sort of burst through this space. Things have come flying off the walls. It's not quite enough for you to take damage, but you are physically sort of rocked by it. And then you're back.
So she got a little concussed and forgot the memory.
That would imply that it was an accident.
Or
I mean, it seems like it was a reaction to the dude who took away the Kate C.
Mhm.
unless Big Dude doesn't want anybody else to know he was there.
I can't hear
Or
what
if you can definitely tell this knot, this tangle of energy is the same color as what he was using. And it feels it felt purposeful. It
Mhm.
felt like it was something that was done to seal this memory away.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts here. The first one being that if this guy is slapping the KC in the face, then he's probably
Pretty powerful.
A, powerful, and B, theoretically on our side, or at least not on.
His enemy, the enemy of my enemy is a friend.
Yeah.
It's that situation.
The other thought that I have is if releasing this memory that much was enough to do all this, maybe I don't want to touch it anymore.
Out of curiosity, were you in Dragonborn or human form through all
I
of
think I
this?
would be in Dragonborn form for this.
Yeah.
You are in human form up to the shoulder of the hand you reached out with.
Uh,
And it kind of like, it kind of comes back.
Okay.
I don't know who that guy was, but I think I know who that guy was.
Do explain. Was it Jesus?
I'm running out of horror movie villains to use as analogies.
So he's not Jason Voorhees.
Did I already use Freddy Krueger?
I don't remember.
Did I already use Freddy?
I don't know if you used Freddy Krueger.
Another one of my nightmares from childhood has come back to life.
Joe or Oric?
Oric.
Oric, okay.
Wait, what's Bryn's status right now?
Bryn seems dazed.
Okay.
Good. So wait, yeah, I was too shocked and terrified by my revelation to check to see if she was paying attention.
You all also notice, Lexi, you especially would know this. Like, you're half expecting Leon to Kool-Aid Man through the wall right about now. That is absolutely his vibe.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just on the other side of that door. And you've not even heard a polite knock.
You got some good damn soundproof in here.
Or the Tuatha do.
Or the Tuatha do.
I need to do more research.
So you're not going to share with us who you think the
No, that's all I know.
That's all you
the full
know.
extent is Tuatha.
Tuatha, the dude,
I think the dude is Tuatha.
the dude is
But it was-
Tuatha.
But wasn't it summer? I thought it looked like summer power. Although maybe not if she's summer.
Green and gold colors, but I don't know.
I don't
It's kind
know.
And I don't know. These are just nightmare creatures. I didn't think about like what their domains were.
I mean, my first thought was like, how much does he look like Mort?
Yeah, Cyrus, how much did he look like Mort?
Doesn't sound like more.
Okay. There's a green laser dancing around behind me.
God bless. Our neighbors, man.
That's-
Somebody's got like a green laser pointer and they just like play with it out their window.
That's like some weird ominous vibes, though, of like,
Yeah.
we talk about
Yeah.
the Kate C and there's a cat, and we talk about this and there's green light flashing in the background.
I was gonna say, because you guys could probably see it. I mean,
Oh
I saw
yeah,
it
I
posted,
definitely can see it.
but I wasn't thinking about the fact that Joe's screen would show it directly.
Yeah, it's like,
It's a little too real here.
We got Maisie jumping up and we're talking about the cats. We got
Yeah.
green light flying around.
Let's start
Um,
talking about billions of dollars.
Yeah, seriously, have some dollar bills drop from the sky.
So just on an immediate vibe check, to steal a phrase from the Adventure Zone, you don't get a Tuatha feel as far as you can tell.
Okay.
Now your sample size on that is not huge.
True.
That's basically limited to Sana and Alex and Cyrus. But you have seen summer magic, and that sure looks like very powerful summer magic.
Well, hell.
So, I mean, John's first thought is Summer King, but I can't remember if
But he's dead.
I was gonna say I can't remember if he exists in Crown of Cold Iron. I'm just gonna start in a minute. I'm just gonna start pulling out every fae I know from Dresden files.
Of course, then we also have to ask if this is a really, really high-powered Fae Lord, Summer Fae. Why would he seal the memory on Lady Bryn?
So my first thought, we spoke of the human looking features. I wondered if this was somebody with hero light. I made myself a note to do research on what the different colors of hero light mean. But like that was my first instinct was literally like, is this Lou? Like, some crazy thing like that. Fire go out. Mostly, yeah.
Or again, if we were in Dresden files, I would say, well, it's probably the Summer Night, but I don't know if that's part of Cold Iron's mythology either.
Right.
Have a go look.
Wait. Okay, so I feel like I need to make a history check to know if Auric knows what is, the common-ish knowledge of the campaign setting.
This wouldn't even be a check. Like Auric
Okay.
for sure would just know this. So the foundational story of the current version of the Fae is that 1500 years ago, the humans and the Fae were in the middle of a horrible war with each other. Truly, and you all have seen glimpses of this through different means, absolutely horrific. The cost was horrible. And the story goes that at I would say the end of the war, except they didn't know it was going to be the end of the war. The war was just going to go on forever as far as they could tell. The humans were numerous. They had powerful heroes. They had the Blackthorn and his apprentices. And they had the Raven King, who sort of was the general and sort of first hero during this war. But the war seemed like it was going to go on, and something happened that didn't just end the war, but it's what we've referred to as the sundering. It didn't just disconnect fairy and the human realm, it disconnected all the realms.
Mm-hmm.
And both the Raven King and the Sealy King both seemingly died at during whatever happened.
And the Sealy King should have come back by now, but hadn't.
Mhm.
Except now it's seeming like maybe he did. But you said in this memory, wait, I don't even know.
I mean, so what if it's something like, like Raven King and Sealy King worked together to end the war, and part of that was them both agreeing to disappear,
And not reincarnate essentially.
and so that might also then be why hide the memory from Bryn,
Yeah,
because he's supposed to be gone.
he's dead.
And so
Okay.
even those on his side aren't supposed to know he's around.
Okay. So don't let Lady Bryn track this one down, I guess. Man, I was hoping to have the embassy on our side for the stalker.
She can still help us fight the cats, just
True.
differently.
Yes.
So all this sort of takes place in a very, very short span. And it's only maybe a minute or so later, you all hear a lot of noise from down the hallway. Several of these guards, led by Moontree, are sort of heading this way, and Moontree sort of stops in the office just outside, and you can hear her saying, "Leon, Leon, Leon," with no particular response. And a couple of the guards just almost appear in this room. It's how fast they move. And you see Bryn kind of no, I'm okay. I'm okay. And you all can tell, like, no one directly pointed a weapon at you, but the vibe was real bad for a second.
I'm sorry, whatever that was knocked me out.
Deception check.
Yep. Woo, 19.
There you go.
All right. I don't know what that was. And already the little dancing lights are like picking stuff up and reshelving books and swirling all the papers back into the folders. Cyrus, you would notice it's very impressive. The papers seem like they're slotting back in randomly, but they're actually going back in like precise order. It's like a a highly organized tornado. Yes, I'm fine. You all can go back. What were we talking about?
Just trying to find ways to blunt the stalker's approach on our bar, the bar.
Yes, it's in keeping with our imperative anyway. We'll apply some resources to try and track down some of what did you say, the big cats enterprises. I can't quite remember. Was there anything else?
Thanks
Sorry,
for all the
on
ahead.
a side note, was wondering about returning an old family heirloom to someone in summer, something that we stumbled across.
Do you have it with you?
And he'll pull out the rapier.
Oh my. This is quite old. Where did you find this?
Underground.
Just something that popped up chasing a different lead.
Yes, we can absolutely get this back. This just kind of very delicately sort of looks it over and says, Leon. And you see him kind of like, what? Oh, that's wow. He sort of turns it and says, this looks pre-sundering. You just found this somewhere?
Yeah.
Sewers. It's incredible what you find.
Old cities, man.
Yeah.
And Bryn says, yes, we'll make sure this finds its way home. Thank you. This is I would never take such a fine gift without some recompense. Is there something else we could do for you all?
Do you need legal documentation? Do we need to get you a green card?
I don't know. Do we?
You're mostly legal.
Diplomatic immunity.
Cyrus will just, Cyrus is most interested in a favor to be named later, if that's something that they're willing to entertain. If we come across something specific where we could use some assistance.
I will say something to keep in your back pocket thinking about this. You do have a new friend who
Right.
doesn't technically exist by the city's reckoning.
Sana needs a green card.
Now, whether you want to get her involved with them is a different question, but that would potentially be a way to resolve that.
Yeah, considering that she, punched me whenever she realized I was Faye, maybe not.
True.
But if you needed someone to cover for where a mysterious magical woman came from all at once, this is a pretty good story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else y'all want to ask Bryn about?
Well, considering that Bryn is fairly out of it now, I don't think I'm going to talk to her about the letter. I might just casually slip it onto her desk because she can read it. And I mean, that makes things a lot less complicated for me because then somebody else can deal with the fact that whatever his name is, Lambton's rival, is trafficking children.
Good point.
Oh, she kind of looks it over. You don't have to make an insight check to tell that she does not like Lambton.
Yeah, I understand.
Not a lot of people do, apparently.
Wait till you meet
Lambton,
her.
Lambton put himself forward for the deputy ambassador position. He was very, very insistent about it and was quite displeased when he did not receive it. Something about this seems strange, though. I don't know Lord Taurus particularly well. He's been, well, as appropriate for his name, he has been slumbering most of the time in which I have been back.
Mm-hmm.
How would humans be going missing without anyone noticing?
It's a fantastic question.
Sorry, I'm just like, well, it happens.
I mean, why would Lambton lie to me? That's a rhetorical question. Don't answer that.
I don't know how. I honestly suspect you all will be more capable at handling a situation like this, but I would. I would certainly consider investigating this from the human side as well. If humans are going missing in any large number, then it seems that someone would have noticed that.
Maybe something take two, Lieutenant Davis.
Probably.
Yeah.
But seeing as we've had this meeting, which started with your concerns about not knowing what our movements were, nice to let you know what our movements are going to be.
Yep.
I'll try to at least look into this somewhat as well. This does seem concerning.
And here I thought I could convince Leon to go do it himself.
One second.
Aha.
Yes, you can put your hand into my camera view.
Which on my screen, I'm on the wrong side of you, so that looks really weird.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it orders the Zoom windows. It's vaguely alphabetical, but it doesn't seem to be in a super common sense
If I
alphabetical
recall
order.
correctly, what they normally do is you're number 2,
Yeah.
and then everybody else is in the order they joined.
Sometimes host
Yeah,
is
maybe
number
that's it.
one.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're not host is number 1.
Oh.
Anywho, so we'll come back. We'll come back next time with more information on what Lady Bryn has for you. I'm gonna go ahead and take us off stream so we can talk schedules.
Okay.
Bye, internet.
Bye,
Bye.
bots.